Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Satisfactory, and on this episode, we are going nuclear. So sit back, relax, and let's jump into it. Alright, before we get started with our nuclear power plant, we need to get ourselves a hazmat suit. So the first thing we got to do is we got the materials here. It requires rubber, plastic, some alclad aluminum sheets, and fabric. So we're going to get that crafted up. And then we'll need to make some filters for it. And that's iodine infused filters. So we're going to switch over to that. And that is made from gas filters, quick wire, and aluminum casing. So we're going to crank these right up until I've got, that's a good even split. So we've got, 10 regular gas masks and then 11 of the iodized ones so that we are then protected from radiation poisoning. All right, so the first thing we got to look at is what the nuclear power plant is going to need. So I have thrown one of them down here so that we can have a quick look and see what it will entail to get it up and running. And it is going to require water to get functioning. And that's going to provide cooling for the system. And it needs 300 cubic meters per minute of water to be able to keep the system cool. Then it also has a waste and it has a fuel. So there's going to be a waste component that comes out of this and then a fuel component that has to go into it. Now it's time to look at, okay, what is our fuel source going to be? So the nuclear power plant is going to require a uranium fuel rod to be able to power itself. So to get the uranium fuel rod, we need to run it through a manufacturer, and that's going to require encased uranium cells, and then 3 encased industrial steel beams and 5 electromagnetic control rods to be able to make 1 uranium cell. Well, we've got the electromagnetic control rods, we have the encased steel beams, that's not an issue. The encased uranium cells, we don't have that yet, so we got to see what it's going to take to be able to make those. So that brings us over to the blender, and the blender will require 10 uranium, 3 concrete, and 8 sulfuric acid to be able to make the encased uranium cells, as well as there is a waste product of sulfuric acid of 2 cubic meters of sulfuric acid coming out. A total of 10, but it's per manufacturing line, so or per process of manufacturing a pack of 5 of the uranium cells. This will do 25 uranium cells per minute in total, with a total of 10 cubic meters of sulfuric acid as a byproduct. And of course, that 10 sulfuric acid can actually go right back into the input side. We just have to make sure that it's the priority line so that it's always pulling this sulfuric acid before it comes out from another plant. So, which that now means, okay, we need to make sulfuric acid. So what do we need to do to be able to get that sulfuric acid up and running? All right, so up on our little test area here beside the hub, a refinery. I'm throwing a refinery on the ground, and I've got it set to make sulfuric acid. And what does it require? It requires sulfur and water to be able to make the sulfuric acid. And this will make a total of 50 per minute sulfuric acid. And of course, for our fuel cell end of things, we actually only need 40. But once it starts manufacturing, it's only going to need 30 additional. So there will be some excess that comes out of here that we're then going to have to figure out, okay, we need to figure out what to do with this extra 20 sulfuric acid that's coming out of here. So that's going to be a whole nother thing to figure out to make sure that this doesn't end up backing up at all, because we have to make sure that this output is completely clear. Okay, so now that we have an idea of what we need for this, the only raw material that we're missing is the uranium. We need to be able to find a source for uranium. And I think about 1.5 kilometers that way, there is a source for uranium that we'll be able to bring back this way. We just need to make sure we have a nice spot set aside for it. And then we have our sulfur available here. This is hardly being used at all. It's just stuck in storage. And it's just being used to make gunpowder or black powder. And of course, our black powder is fully stocked. So, and this here is only using 22.5 of the, even if it's a normal mode, is going to be like 120 items. So we've got more than enough sulfur to be able to manufacture what we need to manufacture. So I went on a little bit of a walkabout, and just up on the top of this mountain peak here, we have found a uranium deposit that is up here. I am wearing my hazmat suit so that it doesn't kill us. And yeah, so here is our uranium deposit, and I've thrown a beacon here just so that I can keep an eye on it on the map to be able to get back to where we were. But one thing I noticed was the great view we've got up here of just how spread out we are with our base, even though it seems like it's fairly compact. So just off that way over there, you can see, let's see if I can zoom in here a bit so you can have a better look around. That there is the aluminum production plant. And then we have our first coal refinery right there. And then everything all comes down. Our main production base is right there with our space elevator. And then over there was the additional iron that we're using for making our steel. Off in that distance that way is our fuel production, so our plastic and the refineries and whatnot is over there, plus our fuel generators. You can see we've got a couple of the geothermal generators there. We have another geothermal generator right there, and then sporadic little nodes of materials that we're all feeding back into our base there. So I'm thinking, now that I'm looking at this here, just off somewhere this way would be kind of ideal. I don't want the uranium to come near our base at all. So I think I might just come off of wherever its straight mining point is going to be. I'll just come down with a smooth ramp all the way down. And then somewhere out that way is where we will build our refinery. And then, or our nuclear power plants, because there's lots of ocean to be able to play with. We'll build it out on the ocean. We won't have to worry about fluid headlift issues. And then, so it'll just be a matter of getting our sulfur trucked back over this way to be able to use it for making our sulfuric acid. All right, so I've prepped this area out here for us to be able to build our nuclear power plant. I do have a ramp that comes all the way down from our uranium node up on the top of that hillside over there. And then down here, we'll set up our sulfuric acid processing, and then our blenders for being able to turn the uranium into encased uranium rods. But then the first things we got to do is we got to get the uranium down here. We have to get sulfur to here to make the sulfuric acid. And we need to get some concrete over here as well so that we can make the encased uranium rods. Okay, the first little phase for our nuclear power processing facility is we needed a little bit more concrete and stuff down there. I did find a node up here that I have placed down a miner. I have this miner running at 765 items per minute, somewhere around there. And that works out to 17 constructors evenly to be able to make all of the concrete, which is giving us like 250-ish concrete. I don't know what the exact number is, but we're getting a fair amount of concrete processed through out of here. And then we have that all feeding down to our lower plant. So the next part of our plant that we have set up here is our sulfuric acid refinement. So we've got 4 refineries set up here. They are capable of producing 50 sulfuric acid per minute. And we have the last one here underclocked just a little bit, so it's only producing 30 per minute, because there's also a byproduct from making the uranium fuel cells as we kind of move along here. So that's got, so it's 4 refineries, 2 water pumps, and then we have our sulfur getting pushed into the back of this, as well as our water. And then that is exporting as sulfuric acid out of here. And next we have our 6 blenders set up. And we have 6 blenders set up because I have a impure node of uranium up on the top of that hill that we have overclocked 3 times, which is giving us 300 items per minute down here. It will give us, when I do fire it up, 300 items per minute coming down to load in here, which divides nicely into these because it does require 50 uranium per blender, which is 6 blenders set up here. And then we have it fed with concrete coming in here, as well as sulfuric acid. And then, of course, it is producing 10 sulfuric acid. So we have this set up. There's 60 sulfuric acid coming down this way that is forced to, I've got a valve in here and a valve here that forces this that way into the system so that these all take on their sulfuric acid. And then we have an additional 180 sulfuric acid coming off of our refineries, which gives us a total of 240 uranium, or 240 sulfuric acid to make our uranium encased uranium cells. So that, as soon as the actual uranium start coming down here, that will start manufacturing out this way. But that's still not what we need for fueling our generators. Then we come down to where I'm just getting started with the manufacturing here of our uranium fuel rods. And I figured this out that if we overclock these to 300% or 250%, it works out that each one of these will handle 50 encased uranium cells out of here. Well, this is producing, all of these lines here is producing 150 of us. So we'll have 3 of these manufacturers set up here that will end up putting out 1 per minute of the uranium fuel rods. So we will have a total of 3 uranium fuel rods per minute coming out of here to be able to power our stations. So the other things I still need to do here is, I need to put down another one of these manufacturers, but I'm out of materials for it, so I got to go back to my base and get some more materials. Then we've got to get some encased industrial steel beams and our electromagnetic control rods. Well, I might just end up manufacturing these here. Well, it's hard to say, because it's going to require each one of these, if we have them overclocked to what it says it needs to be, this is going to be 250%. So this is actually going to require 5. We're going to need 15 of the electromagnetic control rods. And then the encased industrial steel beams, it's not going to be really ridiculous for that, because we're going to basically double this to 2.4, and then add another 0.6 to that. We're three encased industrial steel beams times 3. That's 9 that we need for that. Well, we could probably get that without any issues. I don't anticipate that being too much of a problem. So we just got to see how much of the electromagnetic control rods we're making right now, and how much of a pain in the butt it's going to be to get these all the way back, because we're a long ways away from our main plant. So we need to be able to get those materials over here. All right, let's have a look at all the work that's gone in so far to be able to get our nuclear power up and running. So I'll show you here in a little bit, but there's a whole pile of work that's gone back at our base to be able to produce for us the additional encased industrial steel beams and also our electromagnetic control rods. And we have them feeding down here now, and I have these all tied into our 3 manufacturers here that are going to manufacture for us our encased uranium cells. Now, I don't have the uranium turned on yet, just so that we're not having to deal with the radiation. So this is the way this is set up right now. I still need 1 more power cell. I did run out of power cells, but I'm going to add 1 more power cell to this, and this will produce exactly 3 of these uranium rods per minute. So we will have a pretty good supply of uranium rods. And then I have my first nuclear silo is set up here, the nuclear power plant. It requires 300 water per minute. So I have set up 3 water pumps here, and I have them underclocked to 84%, so that these are producing 300 water per minute going into this unit here. And then, of course, our fuel rods will come in here and get loaded. And then our waste for right now is just going to get stored into this container I will eventually need to, probably in the next episode, we'll look at how to deal with this waste. But I wanted to get this all fired up and running. So before we go and enable and turn on the uranium, let's go back and see all the work that I've had to do back at the base to be able to get the correct amount of electromagnetic control rods and encased industrial steel beams to be able to get this plant up and running. So coming back into our base here, you can see there's a number of things that have changed over here, and it's all this section over here. So over on the far side, we ended up upgrading the iron nodes that were there to Mark III miners, and then brought over the excess iron over to here so that we could convert it into steel. And then I also upgraded some of our coal extraction points up on that far side to Mark III, and so we brought additional coal down here to be able to make steel ingots. So all of these refineries here, or sorry, the foundries here, are making steel ingots. And then these steel ingots are all gathering up and coming around this side, and then we have them all getting crafted into steel pipe through these constructors. So we got lots of steel pipe getting made. And then this steel pipe is then getting fed over here with a line of concrete coming in to be able, I'm using the alternate recipe for being able to use steel pipe rather than steel beams to make the encased industrial beams. And those are all coming out of these three constructors, and then they get loaded onto this conveyor, merge with this one, and shoot off back towards our nuclear plant. Then we also took the copper node that was over there, put a Mark III conveyor on it, ran it down here, and then it is all feeding into these 10 smelters that are here, 20 smelters that are here, because I do have 600 copper coming in this way. That's all getting smelted down over these 20 smelters. And of course, we're not using quite as much. We've got room to expand with our copper over here right now. But we do have a bank of these that are making copper wire for us. So all of this copper wire is getting manufactured. It comes back this way, and then it's dropping down below here, and it's feeding through over to this side, and then it's getting combined with more steel pipe to be able to make stators for us. And the reason why we need these stators is the stators are coming over here to make AI limiters. And then the AI limiters are getting combined with, or sorry, not AI limiters. These are making the electronic control. They need AI limiters. But we have the electromagnetic control rods that are getting manufactured here. And then we're also taking, I converted my quick wire over to a Mark III miner. We're taking extra deuterium underneath here. And then it's all getting manufactured down below here into getting smelted into ingots and then getting converted into quick wire. And then that quick wire is feeding back up over this way to make our, if we can get back out of here, make our AI limiters. And then these AI limiters are all feeding around back into here, combining in this manufacturing line right here. And then these are all making our electromagnetic control rods, which are merging with our industrial steel beams. And those are all shooting back. So all of this, you just had a save there, an autosave happened. That's why we lagged out. All of this is what it took to be able to get enough of the AI limiters and the encased steel beams back that way for manufacturing. And there's a couple of floors of it here too. So there was a lot of work to be able to get this all set up, to be able to feed that all back. And then we have a smart splitter set up on the other side that's taking these two feeds and splitting them again and storing them properly. And it's also rigged up on that far side that if anything was to back up, there is an awesome sink there that takes up any overflow, so we don't end up starving out either the electromagnetic control rods or the encased. It would take a lot, but we don't want that opportunity for anything to be able to get backed up that way. So that has got that all fed back to the plant. Now it's just a matter of turning on the uranium miner and letting it go and start actually making some nuclear power. All right, we've made it all the way back up to our uranium miner here, and if I've built everything correctly down at this end, I mean, we're so far up here you can't even see what we've got built down there. But if we have it built right, I should be able to turn this on and everything should start flowing through. So I have equipped my hazmat suit. We will just now go and hook this up. And this should start producing uranium any second now. And here comes our uranium, and it is now flowing down. So we're going to whip down to the bottom here and see it all start flowing through the whole setup. All right, uranium is now coming down into our blenders here. And hopefully we will start getting some manufacturing happening here. Let's just try to get down to the end of this line as this uranium starts flowing through, and this will all get converted into our encased uranium cells. And we now have encased uranium cells coming out. These encased uranium cells flow down into these manufacturers, and then these manufacturers will convert them into uranium fuel rods. And it is a slow process. We have to wait for 50 of these to end up getting stacked up here. And then once we have our first fuel rod, it will go down and into our power plant. And as we're sitting right now, if we go and click on this, I'm way over. My max production is at 6791, and we're at 68-ish right now. This is going to be changing here soon, because this I'm hoping it's going to double our power just with this one generator. And we have enough fuel here. I think I can run 3 or 4 simultaneously here. I'll have to double check the numbers on it. But even if if I overclock them, I think if I overclock them to 250%, it will do 3 of the nuclear power plants. So it's just a matter now of kind of waiting for these fuel cells to get caught up here, so that this here can start actually manufacturing. Our first uranium fuel rod is now getting manufactured here right now. And this is overclocked to be able to make 1 of these per minute. All right, our first fuel cell has just fired out. Oh, where did it go? I didn't even see it shoot past. Did I not have this splitter set up right? Is it just stuck in the splitter? I think it's just stuck in the splitter here. I got to get this fixed. All right, the first fuel cell has gone in, and we have our first little bit of waste have already come out. And if we go and turn this on, look at that jump. We have done a significant improvement on our power consumption already. We have, our power is balanced right out, and we are sitting at 92-ish is what we're currently running at for power. And it looks, here's our burn time right now. So 9.1, 9.2 kind of seems to be where we are sitting, gigawatts of power that we're making. And our maximum consumption is just under 7 gigawatts. And then this could be overclocked here as well too, but I don't have any more power cells on me. But and we're actually fairly clean here right now. There is some waste that is coming out. So if we come over here, yeah, there is a radiation level that's happening here. We have a little bit of uranium waste, but we're going to end up having to deal with this because eventually it will stockpile up and we will have a mess. But that's going to be on our next episode because you have no idea how long this took to actually get all of this built. It was a ridiculous amount of time to be able to get everything made, as well as I was also off for 6 days due to illness, and but I'm back healthy again, and so we'll be able to start focusing more on getting some of these videos done. So next episode, I'm going to expand the power plant. We'll get more nuclear power running, and then we'll get the particle accelerators up and running to be able to deal with our uranium waste and have that information or that waste all dumped into an awesome sink that will be able to produce some more awesome sink tickets for us. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. Reach down, hit the like button on the video, subscribe if you are new to the channel, ring that notification bell so you can be notified when we are live, and follow me on social media, Instagram and Twitter at TerrisDWDC. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.